Coming to you from Beijing, this is China 24 on CGTN. Our look at China and its impacts around the world. I'm Pan Zheng in Beijing. First, the headlines. Let's cross live to Professor Gong. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. So let's take a look at China's consumer inflation index first. Do you think China has done a good job so far, at least for the first 5 months this year?
Yeah, I think we're very lucky. As you mentioned, the inflation rate for the previous month is only 2.1%. It's a very small number. Typically, in economics, we would view any inflation rates less than 4% as something very manageable. As a matter of fact, it's actually desirable to have a little bit of inflation of that low level. Now, I think the reason behind this is mostly because, first of all, we relied more on fiscal policy as opposed to increasing money supply via sending checks to people, as has been done in the United States. So that creates less money circulation in the market. I think this is something that's very wise to do. I think the second thing is with respect to the impact of the war in Ukraine, as manifested in two areas of high prices. One is food price, one is energy price. And I think in China, we are relatively insulated from food imports from Ukraine and Russia. China is a very large country with a huge population. We cannot rely too much on external supply of food and grain and stuff like that. So I think we're less affected by the high prices of foods. With respect to energy, I think the reason is that China's energy prices haven't been going down really low. At the time when oil prices been hitting very low levels. So I think as the world oil prices come back again, I think at the retail level, our gasoline prices haven't been increasing as dramatically as the oil prices on the world market. So I think that's another reason. So I think very luckily at this point, 2.1% inflation level is very manageable, and moving forward, I'll expect that this will be more or less the same level throughout the rest of the year.
So let's look ahead a little bit, Professor. Just as you mentioned, the global wave of record inflation remains a big challenge to China. How can China hatch the impacts in the rest of the year?
Yeah, so I think the major impact will be felt through, I would call it like imported inflation. In other words, as the dollar getting stronger, import prices were getting more expensive. So, the impact of inflation would come ashore sooner or later. But the good thing is that imports is still a very small percentage of China's economy, even of the consumer market. So I think the impact will be quite manageable and very limited. And I think the central banks needs to keep a very close eye on this. We don't want to get into the situation of going away or flying away inflation, because at that level, you have to tighten up interest rates, and that will have an adverse impact on the economy. As the Fed is doing right now, it's making a very tough choice between timing inflation and then the cost of slowing down the economy. I mean, that's a situation we don't want to get into. So hopefully, the central bank keeps a close eye on it and take appropriate actions as we move forward.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong there.